I'm Watson Duke. I am the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots. If you look at the back, you will see the symbols: bamboo, bullifay, and three hands. We are a party that started in the back hills of Tobago, in Tobago East, and now we are prepared to take all of Tobago. Tobago has been a place that has been under bondage for a mighty long time. And we are of the view that a time has come when every child, every family, and every village should be beneficiaries of the mass resources of the island of Tobago. We have the firm view that people should always take precedence before politics. We also hold the view that Trinidad need to understand that Tobago wants to contribute to the national economy, and they must give us that fair opportunity to be contributors to our economy. It's not enough to sit by and collect checks on a day-to-day basis and say that it is good. We want to go out in the fields, invest our resources, and ensure that in the gross domestic product, you could find a place that says, this is Tobago's contribution. We sing it all the time. Here, every creed and race find an equal place. We have not found such because it has always been deemed in the eyes of many that Tobagonians are leech, they only receive money, and they produce nothing. We want to change that. We want to break the view that Tobagonians are not dependent people, but independent people. In this show, in this program, I'll point out to you that we who refer to ourselves as the citizens of Tobago are not actually the first people who discovered Tobago, but we are simply the descendants of slaves. Our fathers, our mothers, our brothers, our ancestors would have been taken from Africa, and we were brought to Tobago to work. We are now the descendants. We have a responsibility to benefit from the country that we helped develop. The story of Tobago move towards independence began in the 1700s, when France would have signed a treaty giving Tobago to Britain. Britain in 1760s would have then taken Tobago, and immediately they set up what is called a House of Assembly. The House of Assembly ensured that there were elected representatives. Persons were elected, and there were what we'll call a bicameral system, a parliament or House of Assembly with two chambers: the lower house, which is the assembly, and the upper house, which is the legislative house. In the upper house, persons were appointed as if they were senators, very much as what happened today. The governor was responsible for all of the affairs of Tobago. At some time, we had a superintendent governor that would look after not only Tobago, but several Windward Islands. And Tobago was able to thrive somewhat under those type of administrative system. What we discover, though, is that England, the UK, with all that is said about the UK, understood the importance of people making free decisions. And though back then, those who were brought from Africa were enslaved, there were still some people who were able to purchase their freedom, and some who were free. The population of slaves in Tobago, people in Tobago, within the 1700s, 1800s, was about 15,000 thereabout, give or take a few thousand, between 15,000 to 18,000. That was the population of Tobago. the population of Trinidad was maybe 100,000. But looked at how the population grew in Trinidad to now 1.3 million. And look how the population in Tobago has grown to just 60,000. Could it be that there are more Tobagonians outside of Tobago than living in Tobago? The records will show that currently in Trinidad, there are over 300,000 persons of Tobago origin living and working in Trinidad. There's a reason for that. Tobago has very little to offer for the average Tobagonian. And this is what we are attempting to change. We want to see an island where we have an administrative system like that which the UK had in mind in the 1700s, one where people can make laws to govern themselves. Yes, there was something called the Tobago Constitution. And you will see it sooner or later. You will understand that Tobago had its own constitution long before Trinidad had a constitution. Tobago had its own constitution. Long before Trinidad had a bicameral system, Tobago had a bicameral system, a lower house and an upper house. Trinidad only became aware of a bicameral system in the 1960s. I repeat, in the 1960s is when Trinidad knew of a bicameral system. However, Tobago knew of a bicameral system in the 1760s, almost 200 years before Trinidad knew of a bicameral system. Tobago knew of an elective system in the 1970s, whereas Trinidad only knew of an elected system or leaders in the House in the 1940s. So when coming to governance, can Tobago govern themselves? Yes, Tobago has been governing itself many years before Trinidad could govern itself. Tobago has always governed with a small population, between 15 to 18,000, yet they govern themselves. Tobago had its own Chief Justice, which I will show to you in later slides. Tobago had its own police commissioner, who was responsible for creating laws or rules that would later become laws in the House of Assembly. Tobago had its own complete administrative system where it could have managed several of its ports, where persons could have been taxed, etc. Today, in 2020, Tobago is in a worse position administratively than it was in the 1700s or 1800s. Tobago is in a position where the House of Assembly cannot make a law. They cannot make a law. Tobago House of Assembly can only pass what is called a bill. The bill goes to the cabinet looks at it. If they are satisfied, they then introduce the bill in the lower house in Trinidad, and then the upper house in Trinidad, and then it is passed. History would record that since the Tobago House of Assembly had been reintroduced in 1980, not one bill has been made coming from Tobago, not one single bill. We are indeed weaker today than we were in the 1700s. There is no Chief Justice. The people in Tobago must be extradited to come to Trinidad to face trial for certain crimes and to be housed in a prison in Trinidad for crimes done in Tobago. We know that's a massive law, a law which recently the people in Hong Kong would have revolted bitterly and viciously against. The extradition of Hong Kong citizens to mainland China. They opposed that. But we are forced to give in to it, because laws are made for us without our consent in a place called Trinidad. A place that has not been practicing democracy longer than Tobago. It's the classic case of the tail wagging the dog, the flag blowing the breeze. Trinidad is now ruling Tobago. People have asked the question, what about our economy? Can the economy of Tobago sustain itself? I want to point out to you here and now, as the progressive democratic patriots have always done, you cannot judge the size of a nation economy by the amount of people living within the island. There are more Tobagonians outside of Tobago than inside Tobago. We are talking the greatest capital, human resources. As you know, my cousin Winston Duke featured in the Black Panther movie and that other movies he had featured in. He's an actor, but he's from Tobago. As you know, our now Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, he's from Tobago. Our former Prime Minister, Ian R. Robinson, he's from Tobago. One of our former presidents was from Tobago, Ian R. Robinson again. Our Chief Justice, he's from Tobago. The Archbishop, the Anglican Bishop, who is responsible for all the Anglican churches within Trinidad and Tobago, he's a Tobagonian. Myself, as a president of PSA, I am a Tobagonian. As a president of NATOC, I am a Tobagonian. So Tobago has been contributing its human resources to the development of our country. And there are many other persons of Tobago origin living and working and participating in Trinidad. So do we have the resources? Yes. We have the greatest resource, the human resource. Now if we are to go to the law of the sea, that it was set up by United Nations, you would recognize that Tobago is far larger than Trinidad when one considers things like the territorial sea, the continuous sea, or the exclusive economic zone. When one looks at it, Tobago is not boxed in like Trinidad. Trinidad is boxed in between Tobago and Venezuela. Tobago is not boxed in. And right now, they are discovering gas and oil in our waters. BP, not too long, discovered gas last year in our waters. And they said that by 2026, that gas can produce 1.5 million cubic feet of gas per day. When that is done, what happens is that we are producing 40% of what Trinidad is now producing on a daily basis. That's one single gas find in Tobago. Tobago is indeed rich. It is an island with a combination of natural resources. When we look at our aggregate in Tobago, our aggregate is one of the hardest material that can be used for road, paving, etc. It can only be found in 3 countries. Canada, Nova Scotia, Canada, can be found in the Dominican Republic and Tobago. It cannot be found in Grenada, St. Vincent, nor Trinidad. It means that Tobago is different from the other Caribbean islands. Though all are volcanic, Tobago is different. Right outside the Englishman Bay is a buried island, about 300 meters under the seabed. And that island is said to be big as Tobago, a sunken island. Could that be the Atlantis we are looking for? Could it be that with we have over 15 different types of waterfall in Tobago? We have waterfall that looks like gold when you go into the rainforest. Based on the minerals, it looks like gold water cascading down to form a nice shower. We have many waterfalls which Barbados does not have. St. Martin does not have. Antigua does not have. Many countries in the Caribbean, Bahamas, they do not have waterfalls. They do not have rivers. Tobago have a mixture of both. Waterfalls, rivers, mountains. There are over 30 beautiful beaches in Tobago. Different types of sand. Black sand, gray sand, white sand, gold sand. No other Caribbean country could boast of that. Tobagonians want to monetize these assets. Tobagonians believe that we can contribute our fair share to the national economy. We need to ask ourselves why. Why did several European countries, the British, the French, the Dutch, the Hollanders, the Spaniards, etc., the French, why did several European countries, why did they fought over Tobago? Why did they fight over Tobago? Why? Tobago changed hands more than any country in the Caribbean. 33 times. Why is Tobago dubbed the jewel of the Caribbean? By far, Tobago has a lot to offer. And the progressive democratic patriots are of the view that the time is now for us to unleash our resources, monetize them, and help Trinidad with the bills create a better twin republic of Trinidad and Tobago. If the governments of Trinidad and Tobago refuse to develop Tobago, refuse to allow Tobago to grow, then the progressive democratic patriots will have no choice but to demand our total independence from Trinidad. A ball that is bounced to the ground will bounce and bounce until it comes to rest. You pull a pendulum to the left, it will go to the right, to the left, to the right, and then it comes to rest. Everything in life desires rest. The people in Tobago, they too desire rest. We have been floating around for far too long, not knowing if we're going or if we're coming. Having our island relegated to a startup country, a country where nothing can start and complete. If you want the glasses, it has to go to Trinidad. If you want your ID card, it has to go to Trinidad. If you want your birth paper, it has to go to Trinidad. These basic things. If you have to register your land, it has to go to Trinidad. If someone is driving and they get into a terrible accident, they will have to stabilize you and then fly you to Trinidad. Why is it that they are forcing Tobagonians to become overly dependent on Trinidad when Tobagonians are leading insofar as medicine, healthcare in several parts of the world? Why can't we build a better country by strengthening both islands, Trinidad and Tobago? It's a perfect complement. But again, I repeat, if Trinidad refused to acknowledge the contribution of Tobago, we, the progressive democratic patriots, would have no choice but to lead a campaign of total independence from Trinidad. When such is done, we would be able, finally, to borrow money in the open market based on our plan for the economy and develop our country the way Grenada developed their country, the way Barbados developed their country, the way St. Vincent developed their country, the way any island with a sense of independence would develop their country. And instead of asking or looking to Trinidad for the money and say, can we get some money? Can we get this? We're tired of begging. We're tired of asking. It's time for us to live out what our national anthem says, forged from the love of liberty, forged from the love of freedom. Trinidad and Tobago should have been forged from the love of freedom. We demand our freedom now. We are not prepared to continue beyond the 2020 elections. The democratic folks, when we come back, before I get too warm, when we come back, we will take off. Stay with me. Trinidad, Tobago, Tobago, Trinidad. During the break, I met this guy. He walked into the studio and he said he was so impressed by what's happening, but he was so confused also. And there's some questions he wanted to ask. So I brought him on set. I said, come and talk. And here am I, no rehearsal, hardly knowing this guy, except that he expressed an interest in understanding the dynamics of Tobago politics, given Trinidad's situation. So I wish to introduce, at this point in time, Ron Millington. And you're free to ask me any question.
How you doing,
any question.
How you doing, Mr. Dew?
Good, but could be better.
All right. I heard some of your political discourse on Tobago. I have a few questions to ask you. You talk about succession from Trinidad.
No.
Well, explain it to me.
You said secession.
Yes.
But I said independence. There's a difference. We are saying that we want to contribute to Trinidad's and Tobago's economy. We want to contribute. Tobagonians want to contribute. We have resources that we can monetize, that we can optimize, that we can use to build a better Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. So here's my thing. You talk about independence from Trinidad, correct?
As a last resort. If Trinidad believe that they want to keep us in a position of weakness, one where they keep making laws for us.
Define a position of weakness.
Currently, Tobago is in a position of weakness. Let's take, for example,
How so?
COVID-19. All the decisions for COVID-19 are made in Trinidad. All of those decisions. How much respirators we would have, where they would be kept, how a COVID patient who is severely compromised would come to Trinidad. They are saying by the Coast Guard boat. We have no say.
All right.
We have no say. That to me is a position of weakness. An island, which is the largest island that has been inhabited in the Caribbean, and we don't have a say. There's no place in the Caribbean where an island as large as Tobago, with as much resources as Tobago, is being held as a slave, as a colony of another country who did not fight for us.
Well, you're talking about another country. It's one republic. It's Trinidad and Tobago.
It's not really one. You see, we are regarded to as a ward of Trinidad. That's how they regard us. When the British would have merged the two countries, they merged Tobago in a subservient position. We didn't come across as equal.
Okay.
We came across as a ward of Trinidad. Now, I think to myself that should have been corrected at our independence. When we became independent from Britain in 1962, that was a reset, but it didn't reset.
You think it should have been two countries and not one republic?
No, it should have been two countries that became one republic at independence. So whereas we came in as a ward, as a dependent, as some stray child
right.
in the relationship, independence should have fixed that. We are now equal. You can have a common law wife, but marriage fixed that.
All right, let's get down to the brass tacks. So you're the leader of a party, correct?
Of course.
And you're talking
Democratic Patriots.
Okay. And you're talking about independence from Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk about economy.
Yeah.
If you break away from our great republic, where are you generating funds from? How are you managing the healthcare system? Because currently, it's Trinidad and Tobago. We're under one system. Yeah. You're talking about being independent. So if you break away from our great republic, where is your economy coming from? Where are you generating funds from? Where's the money coming from to fund your education system? Where's the money coming from to fund your health care?
Well, first of all, let me correct a thought. We are not trying to break away. If they push us away, we would have no choice but to pull away.
You think the current administration has been pushing you away?
Successive administrations. They have done nothing to allow Tobago to contribute to the economy. None of them. They have done nothing whatsoever. They have kept Tobago in a stifled position.
What will the PDP correct?
That's right.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
What will they do different?
Well, first of all, we are going to come to Trinidad and we are going to prosecute a case that says Tobago and Trinidad are better united. And more money should be spent developing the resources of Tobago, so we can contribute.
Explain to the people of our great republic, when you say resources, be more definitive in your statement.
Well, one of the most important resource of any nation, the most important resource is a human resource. Take, for example, Singapore. There is no natural resource there. There is no sun. There is no fresh water. There is no aggregate. They don't export natural resources. Singapore, as a matter of fact, buy oil and oil products, and they process it, and they make far more money processing it than Trinidad and Tobago. Singapore has a system.
Let's talk about Trinidad. What are Trinidad's resources?
I'm saying to you, they have no resources. But you know what they did? They developed their people resources. So now, Singapore is developing twice times.
So I agree with you. The people of our great republic is the greatest resource we have.
And Tobago has no university. Imagine that. None. If we want to study, you must brave debt and come to Trinidad. If you want to trade goods, you must brave debt on that Rising Road, for which they have not built our walkovers yet. They have not built a walkover and underpass, nothing. Every day, people must juggle between balancing goods on their heads, bags in their hands, to cross that road, the Rising Road, into mainland Port of Spain. That is wrong. They have built one higher up for the residents of Sealots, and that's deserving. They have built one lower down for those who want to come on the promenade.
So what do you want to do in Tobago? Talk to me. What do you want to do in Tobago that's different than what's been done before?
We want to put back the rep into presentation. We want to create a representation. People of Tobago must feel as if their cries are being heard, as if their desires are being nourished. We have a desire to build a country where every child, every family, and every village is treated equally. Right now, if the tea and tech boss in Trinidad tells the underboss in Tobago to cut the current off, the current has to be cut off. If the boss in Trinidad for WASA tells the underboss in Tobago to shut down the water supply, it has to be shut down. If the commissioner of police, if the commissioner of police tells the police in Tobago to arrest the chief secretary, he will be arrested.
So what you're telling me is you want Trinidad to work, you want Tobago, forgive me, you want Tobago to work independently. So Tobago should have its own representation, its own police commissioner, etc., etc. You want to control your own social services, if that's what you're saying.
That can be misunderstood.
Well, explain it to us. Our viewers want to hear it.
Is that Tobago must be in a position where it can contribute independently of Trinidad. So much so that if Trinidad is going down, it must not take Tobago with it. If Trinidad goes down, it doesn't take Barbados with it. It doesn't take St. Vincent. It doesn't take Venezuela. But if it goes down, certainly, based on the relationship, Tobago goes down with it, and Tobago goes first. That's my point.
Okay, I got you. Let's change gears for a second. Let's talk about COVID-19.
Yeah.
That's a big topic of discussion right now internationally. How do you think the current administration has been dealing with the problem of COVID-19, let's say in Tobago?
I think they're treating Tobago as an afterthought. An afterthought. There's nowhere in the Caribbean you can hear people leaving one island via a boat to go to a different island just to get some COVID treatment. And this is what Trinidad is doing to Tobago. Again, resembling that of a subservient relationship, one where Tobago serves Trinidad. So if we want to treat a COVID patient in Tobago, we have to put that person on a boat and take them to Trinidad. It does not happen in Grenada. It does not happen in St. Vincent. It doesn't happen in Jamaica. It doesn't happen in Antigua, but it happens here. Tobago is too big. It's too occupied. There are too much resources on the island for that to take place. When you sit around the table in Trinidad, it's all Trinidadians. No one is taking the concerns of Tobago. Tobago must depend on kits to come from Trinidad. We cannot source our own kits. Grenada can source their own kits. St. Vincent can source their own kits. We cannot source our own kits. We depend on face masks to come from Trinidad. We depend on respirators. We depend on every single thing.
So what you're saying right now is that you wish to have the ability for Tobago to make its own decisions.
It's most important. That's a United Nations rule. It's a law in the United Nations that people must have the right to govern themselves.
But I ask you again, Tobago is part of our great republic. It is Trinidad and Tobago. You're asking for Tobago to be independent of Trinidad and Tobago. And you said it's the last resort. The last resort based on what premise?
Right now, we are asking for greater interdependence. For those of our viewers who don't understand interdependence, we are asking for us to remain as Trinidad and Tobago, but we must be able to make decisions that governs Tobago. Are you aware that the Port of Spain City Corporation, they have more lawmaking powers than Tobago? Yes. When the corporation sits in Port of Spain and they says no parking in this side of Port of Spain and there is parking, the laws can be enforced. Because any rules that they make is sent directly to the president and the president gives assent to it. It's not one way it goes to the cabinet. Tobago cannot do that. Its rules must go through the cabinet, and if you have a hostile government, they will carry it nowhere. If you have a friendly government, they will still keep it down in cases, as we have seen.
Mr. Duke,
Yeah.
before I leave, let's talk a little bit of politics.
Yeah, go right ahead, man.
How do you feel that the current how do you feel about the current administration and how they have handled transportation to and from Tobago? I know that is a big topic of concern for Tobagonians.
I think they have done a poor job. At one time, we were forced to swim, which is the Progressive Democratic Patriots. We now occupy the Minority Council. And we were forced to swim from Tobago to Trinidad to prove a point because there were no boat. Things had gotten so bad between Trinidad and Tobago.
But you also said the Prime Minister is from Tobago, so why do you think there's such a lack in Tobago? Explain that to me.
He's from Tobago, and he says that to everyone, but he does not bear the infirmities of the current Tobagonian. He's what I call a big shot born man, a big shot, a big sawati. So he's not troubled by the infirmities of the weak. He's not worried about that. He's not worried about the boat because he gets a boat when he wants a boat. He's not worried about the plane. I've seen it for myself. There are times when we are on the airport and he comes in and his entourage and they goes on the next plane that comes. And persons are left back because they have to make room for the Prime Minister.
One more question. The fiasco with the sea bridge. I want to hear it from you. How did that affect Tobago's economy?
Well, it brought it to a standstill because Tobago, whatever trade it does, is with Trinidad. And when I said trade, we do not sell, but we buy. Buying is also trading. All right? We're trading money for goods.
Agreed.
So the trade that we do with Trinidad is money for goods, and we weren't able to get goods. If we don't have goods, we cannot run any place properly. Everything goes up. And the average man on the ground, he must now pay pound and crown for goods that was relatively reasonable price.
So you're saying that the PDP, if in power, will be able to fix the ill wills of the current administration in Tobago?
Yes, once the PNM is out of power and the PDP gets into power, we are quite clear in our minds that we have the willpower, we have the determination, we have the people of Tobago's interests at heart, and the air bridge and the sea bridge would be fixed just like that. Just like it would be fixed.
Okay. I have one more question.
We would build our economy on the backs of our people by ensuring that our people are properly educated, properly trained, properly resourced to take the challenges of this 21st century. The world of work is changing, and we have to make all of our people computer literate. We believe in a Wi-Fi free society in Tobago, where anywhere you go in Tobago, Wi-Fi must be free. It must not be something that you might become a computer literate.
Right. Bring Tobago up to the 21st century. All right. I have one more question for you.
I I thought you had some hard questions. Right?
Oh, I got a loaded question for you. I have a loaded question for you.
When you wanted to come on set, I thought you had some real hard questions.
Oh, I got some hard question for you.
Yeah.
There's a 2020 election coming up.
Yeah.
Is there any political parties that you're willing to form a partnership with in order to beat the PNM?
Okay, we are not willing to form a partnership with any party. However, and I underline that word, however.
It's a loaded question. Be careful. Viewers are watching.
However, should the elections turn out to be 2019, that's 39, and two seats in Tobago for PDP, we are willing to engage in discussions with any political organization that is willing to support our mandate from the Tobagonian people. Our mandate is very simple.
Let's hear it.
Where we put people first and politics after. Tobago must be given more control over its economic space. Tobago must be given more control over its judicial space. We don't have that now. Right? We must be given more control over our legislative.
Okay, Mr. Watson, is there any political party that you would partner with in the upcoming 2020 election? And if so, please give us the details because the viewers are watching.
Well, let me say to you,
because there's only two parties currently, and you're talking about the PDP.
Yeah.
Currently, there's the red party and the yellow party.
Good. And we can be seen as the black party.
Explain that term.
Party, right? Black has all the colors in the world. Black has all the colors into it.
It has a racist connotation to it.
Black has all the colors. So the color black has all the colors in the world. So our jersey is a black jersey. It means that we are neither red nor yellow nor purple. We are black. That's our real color for jersey. And we are saying that we will take neither side. We will take the side that is for Tobago and Tobagonians. A side that sees the Tobago economy is in need of development. A side that sees the Tobago people as in need of their own judicial system. The side that sees the Tobagonian people as in need of their own legislative system. We need to have it. As you know, you have an accent as if you lived in the States.
Yes, sir.
But you know, the president, though he is president of all states, he has limited control over.
Yes, because the United States still has 50 governors that guide.
And they could call the shots.
Agreed.
In their own country. All right? So what's good in Washington is not necessarily good in New York. In Washington, you can smoke weed. In New York, it's not. They have not given way to that. And I'm saying that we must be allowed to say what we want to allow in Tobago and not follow Trinidad. In Florida, there's no tax. All right?
Agreed.
But in New York, you pay a tax. We are saying Trinidad cannot continue.
Well, states are allowed to operate independently from the federal government.
Right.
So you're saying that Tobago needs to be able to operate independently from Trinidad.
That's right. Because Trinidad cannot be a federal government of itself. All right? Washington is not a federal government. But they have gotten the voluntary will and the support of 50 states. 50 or 52 states. I think it's 50 states.
50 states.
Right, 50 states to say, look, I am willing to be part of a federation with each and every one of you. It's not with Washington, D.C. Florida.
So basically what you're telling the viewers is that you want equal and fair representation for the people of Tobago.
Precisely.
You need their voice to be heard.
That's right. And we are saying that it has to happen when we press the button reset at this election. It must be an election where we press the button reset. We are coming there as Trinidad and as Tobago. And when we meet, we are discussing issues that are independent of each other and issues that relate to each other. But tell me about yourself. You know, you ask another questions and it will seem as if you have not lived here for a while, as if you're a stranger.
No, I'm not a stranger.
Of my Tobago people.
No.
You know?
I do quite a lot for the people of our great republic. I run a philanthropy company with my brand called the RM brand. We feed a lot of the homeless and we take care of a lot of the less fortunate in our great republic. So I do hear the plies and the cries of our people. Hence the reason why I'm here asking you the hard questions.
But
Because I'm thinking that maybe you share some of the same sentiments that I have.
Just off the cuff, all these questions, this plethora of questions you've been asking, they're soft questions. I'm going to ask you, and answer me honestly. Who is Ron Millington? Who is Ron? Why are you so interested? But first, who is Ron?
Well, Ron Millington is a brand. I worked under the Obama administration as one of the federal on-scene coordinators for Deepwater Horizon. I was one of the federal on-scene coordinators for Hurricane Katrina. I've dealt in many crisis management positions in the U.S. government and law enforcement.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And it's not facetious. But if I'm to ask Obama if he knows that, does he know that? Is he aware of that? Is his administration aware of that you would have worked?
I would think so.
You would think so?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I also have 2 special operations ribbons from the U.S. military.
Okay.
Okay? So, you're asking me some of the hard questions. You said that I haven't asked you any hard questions.
No. You stopped and told me about you. What do you do apart from this, that?
Okay, so in Trinidad and Tobago, our
what do you
republic, I'm a philanthropist. I hear the cries and plies of our people, the less fortunate. As a matter of fact, I lead a lot of projects on social reform in Trinidad and Tobago. I feed the homeless, and also during the COVID-19, I've also been doing my part handing out hampers to the less fortunate.
Hold on. Ron, is a statement that is known to all and sundry, and I believe around the world. You give a man a fish, you feed him for the day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Are you saying that what you are doing is only giving a man food for the day? Then you are no different from the red juicy, the yellow juicy. You are no different from how Trinidad
Mr.
is
Duke, don't get it wrong.
Tobago.
Don't get it wrong.
No different. Because what you have just said is that you are feeding people on a daily basis. You have not spoken about an operation that you have put in place to create greater independence. How do you move the guy who is on the sidewalk, who longs for a hot meal, from that position to a place where he can now cook meals and give to those who are not of his mental acumen or position, as the case may be, or strength?
Well, that's for people like you and I to get into government to make change. Because currently, right now, the government has and wields all of the power.
I do not agree with that, simply because you could transfer, and allow me to use this, it doesn't mean literal, but it's figurative. You could transfer a pig from the mud to solid place.
What's your plan, Mr. Duke?
Hold on. It's going to go from that solid place back to the mud, because the mud does not come out of the pig's psyche. We have taken men from the sidewalks who have been feeding people all their life, and we put them into government. And you know what they did? They keep feeding the people. 10 days. Projects here. But no meaningful and gainful employment.
Agreed.
We need to see people that has a vision for every child, every family, and every single village. No village should be blacklisted. No family should be blacklisted. And we're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to that. So you're saying that they deem you to be political?
Yes, that was many years ago.
Some
Although
say-
I sometimes do have things I still write in the papers, like I've written on. Remember the issue of I think it was 23 signatories about black education, and in fact I spoke to Reggie Dumas in Tobago. He called me after to congratulate me on that piece. Eh?
Because you are an intelligent person. You have a doctorate.
Yeah.
PhD. PhD in what?
PhD in politics.
Politics. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm judging based on your deportment, based on your ethnicity, that you belong to the Red Party.
No, I do not.
And I'll tell you why I say that. I say that because all persons of East Indian descent who are not corrupt, right? You will see them on the front benches of who they claim not to be corrupt, on the front benches of the PNM.
You mean who they claim?
Who they claim,
right? Because
not to be corrupt.
exactly.
They claim that.
Because that is their racial strategy, their racial. They want to say all Indians are corrupt, except
those with us.
That's right. That is an old, hostile, and recalcitrant minority idea, just brought up to 2020. But it's the same idea, because that's the same thing that Eric Williams said. Well, except for those Indians who are with us, well, you are a hostile and recalcitrant minority.
Yeah.
You know, and this philosophy of the PNM, you know, in particular, the rural Hindu Indians and the Tobagonians have a long history of working together politically.
Because we are not racist in Tobago. We
That's-
are not. We are not. We don't see race. We see human race.
That is
That's
right.
one. And I must say, the PNM, they have been doing a fantastic job in Tobago in dividing the East
That's right.
from the West. They let the people in the West know that you are different. You are not like the people in the East. The people in the East, no, you are different.
That's
And so
right.
people are...
And let me
Go ahead.
explore that different. Because you see, the PNM is all about divide and rule.
Yeah.
That's all it. And so what I always notice from looking at the statistics, that when it used to be 11-1 with DAC,
Yeah.
or NAR, and the PNM was the one seat in
One seat,
in Scarborough,
one seat.
always in
One
this
seat.
urban
And there was
area.
no East and West, but just Tobago.
That is right. And the PNM could not break through.
Yeah.
Right? But the urban areas is always their stronghold. Because in the urban areas, like it or not, people are more dependent. They're more dependent on their job. They're more dependent on the government. And this is the Red Party strategy, right? So this is the
But
Red.
it's not going to work. It's not going to work
Yeah.
in this election. This election's
But tell me
Tobago is
something.
different.
The Red Party, I think, has destroyed the ethos of Tobago. Tobago used to be a breadbasket. Tobago used to be self-sufficient, independent, have its own dynamic.
Yeah.
And then for the past, since when it was, 2002? Since 2002, it's been Red Party territory. And there are young people today who think that Tobago is the property of the Red Party because they never know
Never seen anything
the
like this.
history,
Yeah.
which is when it was totally different. How did that happen? And what now? Tobagonians work for the THA. Before, Tobagonians used to work for themselves.
Well, Dr. Kirk, we're going to change that. We are forced to change it because a new generation has been born. And they are not in tune. They are not happy. They do not celebrate the so-called successes of the Red Party in Tobago. They do not celebrate that. They are looking for employment. They are looking to have their education on the island. They are not looking to be blacklisted because I'm from a country, you treat me like
That
this.
is right.
Or from the West, you give me handout. They want a society that is based on justice, equity, fairness. They want a society that rewards hard work. They are looking for that society. The society that the Red Party has created is one where you depend upon them.
And I find that so interesting that you talk about the West and the country.
Yeah,
It's
they're
the
trying
same
to
thing in
separate it.
Trinidad. The West is a different kind of West,
Yes.
but it's the West is the elite part,
Yeah.
and the countryside they leave to rot.
Well,
So you see, it's the
same
same.
same kind of stuff. But it can't happen this time, and this is why we intend to wipe them clean from Tobago. And I know you're from Tobago. If you're listening, just say yes if you agree with me on this Facebook. Say yes if you agree with me that we are going to wipe them clean and we're going to flush them. One guy told me that when the Progressive Democratic Patriots would have won the 2 seats in the national elections, East and West, and when we would have won the THA elections, we must set out to remove all the balizé plant that Dr. Williams had planted in Tobago. They say we must remove them, dig them out, burn them, and plant food instead. Because balizé is not a natural plant in Tobago.
That's right.
They plant them there. Where
And
balizé
you're
grows.
right. There's no fruit. There's no food with that
Yeah,
plant.
no fruit.
No.
Only snakes.
That is right.
So it was a farmer who told me that. I said, that's going to create. He said, no. He said, take the CPEP, take the URP, give them the work to do, dig it out, burn them, and replace it with food. Because where the balizé grows, nothing else grows,
That is right.
Nothing else could actually grow there,
That is
It
right.
takes somebody who it sucks the ground.
It's a weed.
And so, I don't know. But they have done nothing for Tobago, and they are trying to simply infiltrate Tobago in a kind of way that no party could go there. They have destroyed a lot of party in Tobago.
Yeah. They just
Because they are
the
good-
self-sufficiency. And what,
Yeah.
I know you talked about the sea bridge earlier,
Secret,
but that is
and the economy that lies in the sea.
that is the cruelest irony that a prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who comes from Tobago, allowed the sea bridge to Tobago to collapse.
You know what was really painful to me? When they took a barge that stored sand, old iron, all right, junk, and they told the business community of Tobago to put your goods on that barge, your vehicles, and we'll bring it up to Tobago for you. A barge,
Yeah.
This Red Jersey, this Tobago-born prime minister, he did that to Tobagonians. Persons were complaining about the amount of salt on their vehicle, on their goods. I mean, how could you be so evil? How could you be so crass? How could you be so
Disrespectful.
immune to human feelings? But I know you have written a lot, and like I said, I like to read your readings before you was classified as political. And I don't see you, not a good UNC, I see you as a bad UNC, really. It's my book, I'm not saying that, It's my issue, I could see that, right? I see you as a
So what do you mean by that?
as a bad UNC. You're just a
You mean
UNC
bad in a good way?
you're just a UNC sympathizer, I just see you as that. But you're such a great brain, a great mind. You should have been someone in the forefront where academic thinking is concerned to lead the way. You have looked also at the economic zone of Tobago, exclusive economic zone, and and so on and so on. Tell me a little bit more about that. It is said that Tobago is larger than Trinidad. I said that earlier, a few minutes ago. Tell me about that.
People don't realize that Trinidad and Tobago, the majority of the territory of Trinidad and Tobago is in the sea.
All
it's
right.
not the land.
Good.
And when you start to draw the boundary of Trinidad and Tobago in the sea, well, we have Venezuela
Box,
after
Trinidad
by the Gulf of Pario. But when you start to go out to the east in the sea, there's a big expanse, and that is where the wealth of Trinidad and Tobago is, in the sea. It's the oil,
I
it's
want
the
you to
gas,
answer
and elsewhere.
specifically.
And Tobago's part of that is a very large
No,
part.
I want
Tobago
you to answer me
is-
carefully.
yes.
Is Tobago larger than Trinidad when one looks at the
the sea.
laws of the sea, when you utilize the laws of the sea?
I I have not checked the
Trinidad
area.
is boxing.
Yeah.
At Icacas is boxing.
I've not checked the area, so
at the
I can't say for sure, but if I would need to verify, but it is
Trinidad is a square. Let's
Yeah.
verify it now.
Well, a square with two.
No one said. It's a square. Cut off the little horns.
Yeah.
It's a
With
square.
the peninsulas, yeah.
So on one side, on one tip, which is towards the west side, where you have all this little chain of islands.
That's right.
Venezuela is right there.
That's right. 7 miles,
Right?
and
So
that's
it's
it.
locked in
That's
to
right.
Venezuela. By the Serpent's Mouth, down in Caracas,
Yep.
Cedros,
Same thing.
right? It's locked in Venezuela.
That's right.
On the next side, the higher end, Toku, it's locked in.
And then on the southern end,
It's
it's
locked in.
also locked in.
So when you ask yourself, where is Trinidad? But when you look at Tobago, one point may be locked in by Trinidad down there.
Yeah.
But
Just the southern
but
part.
the next closest island is Grenada,
That's right.
which is quite far.
Yeah.
And the next island is Barbados
Correct.
and Africa.
Yeah. Yes.
So when you look at our exclusive economic zone, I think that's about 250 nautical miles.
That's right.
Thereabout.
Yeah, yeah.
When you look at it from the shore out there, can't you say that we are larger than Trinidad? Now I present you the fact. You see what I'm saying? It's not even a good UNC.
Well, no. Well, no. What I would say is that the border between where Trinidad and Tobago is, that's always been a dispute. Is it halfway or not?
Between Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, like
Based on the
between-
laws of the sea,
yeah, yeah.
where two islands come together and they don't have the right distance between them, they draw a middle line.
Yeah. So if it's in the middle line,
And so we don't
Tobago's is bigger than with the marine
I
resources.
want you to say that.
Yeah. And
We will give ourselves a clap. We are bigger than Trinidad.
And not only that, even if you just take the land, if you look at St. Kitts and Nevis, the Federation of St. Kitts
That's
and
right.
Nevis,
I like
it is
that.
the same size. Both of them together,
Both together.
is the same size as Tobago.
And they're independent.
That is right. And
Both
they're
of
independent.
them, either of them could leave the union if they want to.
And they have 58,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. Less
Yeah.
than what Tobago has. And Tobago with all its population all
And
over
you know
the
the
place.
beauty of that? The beauty of that is that St. Kitts and Nevis, they can make their own laws. And they have made laws to allow for foreign persons to come in and become a residents of the country in a very easy way.
In an economic citizenship.
Yeah. You can
Now-
pay and you can become.
And-
But in Trinidad and Tobago is forced to keep people out because Trinidad create their own laws.
That's right.
We have to change that. We must have a say
And-
on what goes on in Tobago.
And you see, and this is the Red Party policy. You see,
I say both sides.
no, it's not. It's not. Who entrenched the THA in the Constitution?
Well, I would say it's the PNM.
No,
But-
it was not. It was in 1996.
But they were the
It was in 1996 when it was entrenched in the Constitution. In
96?
1996. That's when it was done, in
Okay.
96. Right? That was
1980 was
that it
The
wasn't
act.
entrenched. Yes.
Act.
It was just like a county council government.
Act.
That's
in
right.
1980 it became an act.
That's right. But the thing is that it could have been removed
But
by a
even now-
simple majority. So that entrenchment and the enhancement.
But no, it's not entrenched now, you know. And I want to challenge you on that. I hope you have sufficient time.
Well, no,
I
no,
want
no,
to challenge you that
because
right now.
and
That's the irony of the Tobago Act. A simple majority right now could put the act to rest. While it is made mention of in the Constitution, there is no depth to it in the Constitution.
and,
They could leave
and
the
that
act
was
void.
because in,
There's no
in
depth to it.
1996 when A&R Robinson and Bastille Pandey put this forward, it was Patrick Manning and the PNM that fought it tooth and nail, because the Red Party's idea is that you have this unitary state, and therefore Tobago should not be given its dignity. Therefore, the other peoples and cultures of Trinidad should not be given its dignity. They want to cover everything in the Red Party Balize juice. That is what they...
I hear you, but I want to tell you now,
Yeah,
I don't believe you. Okay, let me tell you this. In 1987,
yeah,
86, I think, when we had elections,
yeah.
now one, it was a composition of both persons of East Indian
Yeah, that's right.
and African descent.
Correct.
We had the ULF and the DFC
And the
Tapia
NAR, and the
House
Tapia, yeah.
and the form
ONR,
now.
yeah. Correct.
Good, you know more than me.
Yeah,
You're
yes,
a doctor
yes,
here.
yes, yes.
And they had more than a majority.
Yeah.
It's 30 seats to 3.
33-3.
They could have fixed it then.
Absolutely.
They did not do it.
That is right.
Come ahead. 2010. We had an election again.
Yeah.
Where we had something like the NAR coming back together.
That's right.
Where the trade union movement, business and different people come together and they form the People's Partnership.
Yes.
They had a majority, 26 seats.
Yes. I think
majority.
that was an opportunity
they did
lost.
Nothing about it.
I agree.
Nothing about it.
I agree. That was an opportunity lost. They should have.
We should put blame where it is. Both parties, the red and the yellow, they are responsible for Tobago's ill-fate.
No, but the moves towards Tobago's independence was pushed by the Yellow Party.
What have they done?
What have they done?
Apart from writing pretty books and wish lists. They wish Tobago was like this.
No.
What have they done? Nothing.
If your point is that Tobago should be independent, then you're not supposed to look.
That's not my point.
No. What I mean. That's right.
Independence.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I don't mean political independence.
Yeah.
I mean
self-governance
self-governance
in our own affairs.
Right. Then, once you're given that, then it's not up to the Yellow Party, which is why they don't encroach on the Tobago politics.
They don't. But they took the 2 states from TOP and they were used as lapdogs in the People's Partnership. Yeah? Remember that? When they had the 2 seats in Tobago. And what we got? What did we get? Nothing. We are still hungering and thirsting after the money that comes from Trinidad.
That is TOP. That is not the Yellow Party. So you can talk about the TOP as well.
You are a sympathizer with them and you are a sympathizer.
Yes, of course.
But you need to reject that. The new politics is that the country must reach a place where yellow and red doesn't matter. And that's why we use the word, we color black. It takes all the colors into consideration. We must reach a place where all persons are respected and we try to create better governance.
And that is our philosophy.
For instance, you see me? If I am to lead this country at any day, God forbid, as a prime minister or someone of note, political substance, I would devolve power to the local governments.
Yeah.
Local governments are local governments that really govern local issues. And we have to empower them with the resources and the people to get governance down to the people.
Yeah.
But right now they're just white elephants.
Yeah. No.
White elephants.
And again, that is the policy of the Red Party.
No, but the UNC, the Yellow Party was there and they did nothing.
No, that is nothing. Listen, since when were we independent? 62. From 62 to 86, party.
The question is, since when? Since when we had a majority? We had a majority recently.
Yeah.
In 2010, 26.
Yeah.
To whatever. But you know, we went out of time.
Yeah.
We got face debates with you. Always enjoy listening to Dr. Kirk Migu. I think you should be a professor, man. A man speaks so well. He does research, but his politics is blinding him. Wow, this was really exciting today. My people, Tobago, Trinidad, Tobago. As you can see in the back, PDP, Progressive, Democratic, Patriots. Learn those words. Learn the symbol. The bamboo on the outskirts, the bullifay, and 3 hands holding it. I'm Watson Duke, the political leader. I'm happy to be here with you. We spoke to Ron Mellington, Dr. Kirk Migu. They all have their own perspective. Next week, let's see who we're going to speak with again. We'll keep interviewing people here. This is your show, the People Show. Send in your comments. We're going to read them. We're going to like them. We're going to debate. We're going to have different views. But at the end of the day, we want to have a better country. A country where there's no red, but there's no yellow. A country where all colors are appreciated. Hence, we have chosen the color black for our t-shirt. Take care. I love you all. Peace, my brothers and my sisters. God bless.